An illegal immigrant facing murder charges today in a San Francisco court. Edwin Ramos is accused of gunning down Tony Bologna and his two sons. Their mom says they were victims of road rage by someone who shouldn't have been in this country.
I know my husband that he would have moved over had he known it was coming directly at him. However, as he was moving toward the right, I believe, this vehicle came towards him and blocked him from going up the hill, and then started shooting randomly and shot my husband and my son Michael. And apparently they were dead at the scene. And then had my other son in the back. Probably didn't even know what hit him.
All right, Ramos, who had 2 prior felonies, was never deported because San Francisco is a sanctuary city. Now that mother is demanding justice. Immigration attorney Francisco Hernandez says the city's policy is not to blame. William Gheen disagrees. He says Ramos should have been deported a long time ago. He's with Americans for Legal Immigration. Mr. Hernandez, it's hard to separate out a sanctuary policy that stops someone being deported who then turns around and kills 3 people. Make your case.
Okay, well, the problem is federal law supersedes any municipal ordinance or policy. So the fact that it was a sanctuary city or not, federal government can come in and do whatever they want. So if he was deportable, he should have been deported, and he would have been deported had immigration wanted to.
So
sanctuary policies have nothing to do with it.
If San Francisco is a sanctuary city, the policy is that authorities, the Homeland Security Department, runs immigration. They are not told about convicts. That's the policy.
Well, no, from what I understand, it was the sheriff's department who failed to call immigration authorities, and they would have been able to pick him up. In fact,
but the policy is that they should not be informed. That is the policy. Whether it worked this time or not is irrelevant. That is the policy.
But that is a policy of the city that has nothing to do with the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department is usually the county level.
Okay, Mr. Gheen, come on, weigh in on this. William Gheen, please.
The immigration authorities have no part of that policy.
Mr. Gheen?
First of all, our hearts and prayers go out to the Bologna family and to Danielle for those of us that are fighting every day to try to prevent these deaths. Our movement will welcome her, put our wings around her when she's ready to join the national fight. Immigration and Customs also had this suspect back in March on a gun charge. It's a felony for an illegal alien to possess a gun. And so both the city of San Francisco and the Department of Homeland Security have direct responsibility for these murders. And our hearts and prayers go out to the Americans and their families murdered today. Thousands of Americans are being murdered. And
Mr. Gheen, are you pinning responsibility? Are you pinning responsibility, Mr. Gheen, on the mayor of San Francisco, Gavin Newsom, and the city of San Francisco?
I'm pinning responsibility on both the federal government and the city of San Francisco, both of which failed to protect our citizens, and this type of story is panning out across America each day. Thousands of Americans are being needlessly slaughtered per year, and some of the top people in this country have responsibility for that. There's blood on their hands.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez, who do you pin responsibility on?
Well, look, the responsibility is 100% on the federal government. I agree with him that the immigration authority had every right to have deported him, and the fact that they deported him doesn't mean that this MS-13 gang member would not have come back anyway. The fact of the matter is now he's in prison and he will face justice. Under federal law, immigration could take him right now without ever facing justice. We wouldn't like that either, would we? Now, I agree with my counterpart.
Would you suggest, Mr. Hernandez, I'm sorry to interrupt, but look,
yes.
Would you suggest any change in this sanctuary policy of various American cities, San Francisco in particular, in view of this case? Would you recommend any change in sanctuary?
It has nothing to do with sanctuary. The change we need to do is have some sort of way where the folks that are here just tax-paying, hard-working, otherwise law-abiding citizens to be able to come out of the shadows and show who they are and leave the criminals out of that mix.
Mr. Gheen, last word to you, please. Mr. Gheen, last word to you.
I think Mr. Hernandez is pushing amnesty on top of a mass murder by an illegal alien.
You don't even need amnesty. Forget amnesty.
Mr. Hernandez, please tell your close associates, President Bush, Vicente Fox, and your brother Juan Hernandez, who is on the John McCain campaign, that it is their open borders policies, pro-amnesty policies, and lack of border security and immigration enforcement, which Americans are demanding, that is directly leading to these deaths, thousands of Americans per year. There's blood on your hands that you cannot wash off, and we, the people, plan to hold all of you accountable.
Last word,
Well,
Mr. Hernandez, you've got 10 seconds.
Now you're scapegoating. Now you're scapegoating. What you're doing is blaming a group of innocent people.
President Bush and John McCain and the powers that be in Washington have open borders policies. They have a de facto amnesty in place. That's why the illegal aliens are here, and that's why they're being allowed.
You don't even have to get
Gentlemen,
the
I'm sorry, I have to bring this to an end. This is a very sad, this is a tragic case, and I must bring the discussion to an end, unwilling as I am to do that. I will conclude by saying this is a tragic and extremely sad case that concerns us all, gentlemen. Thank you.